class for this course, Plantain Farming. This is Module 2, and the topic that we'll be treating in this module is land preparation and plantain cultivation techniques. So, however, we have the contents of the module to be that at the end of this module, learner will be able to study the following subtopics, site selection for plantain farming, soil types suitable for plantain farming. Also, learners will also be able to study soil testing, and also land clearing and preparation for plantain farming. Also learn about nursery preparation and sucker selection for plantain farming. Then also planting methods and spacing techniques for plantain farming, watering and irrigation system for plantain farming, weed control and mulching in plantain farming, then the do's and don'ts in plantain farming. These are the necessary subtopics that we'll be covering in this module. Which is land preparation and plantain cultivation techniques. This module is where we'll be analyzing towards what we need to do, the process, step-by-step guide that we can do when it comes to land preparation for planting, for farming plantain or plantain farming. Sorry. So now let's move on to the introduction. So, as we have said in the initial module, that is one of the plantain farming is actually one of the most important agricultural activities in many tropical countries, especially in Nigeria, where plantain actually serves as both a staple food and a major source of income for farmers. Now, the sources of plantain production depends greatly on proper farm establishments and management practices, actually beginning from site selection to harvesting. From selecting the way you'll be using as your land selection or site selection to the process of harvesting. Now, plantain plants require favorable environmental production such as fertile and well-drained soil, adequate rainfall, suitable temperature, and proper farm maintenance. So, therefore, understanding the basic requirements of plantain cultivation is very essential for both the small-scale and commercial farmers. So, important practices such as soil testing, how you test your soil, land clearing, nursery preparation, sucker selection, planting methods, irrigation, weed control, and mulching all contribute to the healthy growth of productivity of the crop. And this is what we'll be analyzing and discussing in this module. Now let's move on to the first subtopic, which is site selection for plantain farming. So climate requirements is very to select a site for plantain farming. You should consider the following: the climate requirements, the soil type, the soil pH, rainfall, and water availability. These are very essential things that we should consider when trying to select, when going on site selection for plantain farming. Actually, planting grows best in warm, humid tropical climates. So the ideal temperature range is between 25 degrees Celsius and 30 degrees Celsius. So the crop requires high rainfall that is evenly distributed throughout the year. Talking about the soil type now. That's that about the climate requirements. Now, the soil type, the best soil for plantain farming is deep, fertile, and well-drained loamy soil. Deep, fertile, and well-drained loamy soil. Soil stress should be rich in organic matter and capable of holding moisture without becoming waterlogged. You understand? Plantain does not grow well in sandy, rocky area or heavy clay soils because they either drain too much quickly or retain too much water. So, which can cause root rot. So, it is advised to engage in plantain farming in well-drained loamy soil. Now, soil pH, plantain grows best in slightly acidic or neutral soil with a pH range of 5.5 to 7.0. Talking about rainfall and water availability now. Plantain requires consistent moisture throughout its growth cycle. Therefore, areas with reliable rainfall or access to irrigation water are very suitable for plantain farming. You can't just plant plantain anywhere, anyhow. So there are things that we need to consider if we want to select sites for plantain farming. Now let's look at soil types suitable for plantain farming. We have the plantain grows best in fertile, deep, and well-drained soils. However, the different soil types that affect its growth in different ways, and the different substyles that we can actually consider. We have the loamy soil, sandy soil, and clay soil. But the loamy soil is considered to be the best soil. It is the most valuable suitable soil for plantain cultivation because it contains a balanced mixture of sand, silt, and clay. It is high fertile due to rich organic matter, good water retention and drainage, easy roots penetration, and supports strong plant growth and high yield. Sandy soil can also be said to be good for plantain farming if it is properly managed. that's there. We have a condition there. So good drainage prevents waterlogging, easy to cultivate and warm quickly. Clay soil contains fine, and clay soil on the other hand, it contains fine particles and hold a lot of water. The advantage of clay soil is that it is high nutrient content. However, the disadvantage is that it is poor drainage can its poor drainage can lead to root rot. Now let's move on to soil testing. We need to how can we test our soil if we want to engage in plantain farming. This is the scientific analysis of soil. That's soil testing. It is the scientific analysis of soil to actually determine its nutrient content, pH level, and suitability for crop production. Soil testing is very important step before establishing a plantain farming. Now, what are the importance of soil testing? Now we have, because one, it determines soil fertility level. It helps farmer knows the type of fertilizer to apply to the plantain farming. Thirdly, it prevents wastage of resources and it improves crop yield and quality. And lastly, it also identifies soil problems such as acidity or nutrient deficiency. That's the importance of soil testing. Now, the components of soil testing. Soil testing usually examines soil pH level, that is the acidity or alkalinity, the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium levels, the organic matter content, presence of micronutrients like magnesium and calcium, soil texture and structure. These are the components of soil testing. Now, steps in soil testing. Let's look at the different steps that we need to take in soil testing. We have one is soil sample collection. Then the second step is to mix samples. So in this soil sample collection, soil is collected from different parts of the farmland. Mixing samples, the samples are mixed to form a representative sample. Then the next step is the laboratory analysis. This is where the samples is tested in soil laboratory soil. And result interpretation. Farmer receive a report explaining soil condition. Then recommendation is the last step, where experts suggest fertilizer and soil improvement methods. Now, benefits of soil testing in plantain farming. Why do we need to actually test our soil in plantain farming? What are those benefits? One, it ensures proper fertilization application. It improves plant growth and yield. It reduces production costs. And fourthly, it enhances soil management practices. Lastly, it actually supports sustainable farming. Now, let's move on to the next subtopic, which is land clearing and preparation for plantain farming. So, what do we refer to as land clearing now? It is the removal of trees, just like just as the name implies. Removal of trees, the shrubs, grasses, stumps, and other obstacles from the farmland. Just like land clearing the land, removing the necessary hindrances from the farmland. And methods of land clearing, we have the manual clearing, which involves using cutlasses, hoes, and axes to clear simple farms. It's commonly used by small-scale farmers. We have the mechanical clearing. This involves the use of tractors and bulldozers, and actually in large areas to clear large areas quickly. Especially it is common in commercial farming. We also have chemical clearing. This has to do with herbicides, which may be used to kill weeds and unwanted vegetation before planting. So these are the methods of land clearing that we have. Why is land clearing very important in plantain farming now? Let's look at that. Actually, one, it removes competition between plantain and weeds. The plantain can easily grow without facing competition from weeds. It reduces hiding places for pests and diseases. Now, stopping and removal of debris. This has another importance of after clearing vegetation, stumps and roots are removed to left or right depending on the farming system. Now let's move on to land clearing. Still on land clearing and preparation for plantain farming. We have tilling or soil preparation. Tilling involves loosening the soil to improve aeration and root penetration. So the method for tilling, we have manual digging with hoes for small farms, mechanical ploughing and harrowing for large farms. Now, what are the benefits of tilling? Tilling actually improves soil aeration. Tilling enhances water infiltration. It makes it easier for plantain roots to grow deeply. It also helps mix organic matter into the soil. Ridging or mounding. Ridging or mounding involves the shaping. Involves shaping the soil into ridges to hips where plantain suckers are planted. What are the importance of ridges now? The importance of ridges is that one, it improves drainage, preventing waterlogging, enhances root development. That's the second one. The third one is that the third importance is that it makes weed control easier. And the fourth one is increasing soil fertility and planting areas. Now, how can we apply organic matter and fertilizer? Now, before still on land clearing and preparation for plantain farming now, to apply organic matter and fertilizer before planting, organic materials such as compost, manure, and so on and so forth, they are added to improve soil fertility. The benefits of adding this organic matter and fertilizer is that it supplies essential nutrients. They improve soil structure and increases water retention. Soil leveling and drainage control. Proper leveling ensures uniform water distribution across the farm. Flat areas are level to prevent water stagnation and so on and so on. So let's move on to layout planning. Farm layout involves marking out planting rows and spacing. And this has to do with proper spacing in the sense that proper spacing reduces competition for nutrients and sunlight. It allows easy for movement for weeding, fertilizing, and harvesting. It also improves overall farm management. Now, nursery preparation. Let's move on to the next subtopic, which is nursery preparation for plantain farming. When we go to nursery preparation, it is a special area where plantain suckers are prepared, treated, and grown temporarily before transplanting to the main field. Now, steps in nursery preparation. We have step 1, site selection for nursery. Second step is land clearing and bed formation. C is soil enrichment. For the site selection, the nursery should be located on well-drained fertile soil. When drained fertile soil, it should be close to a water. It's very important. The area should be free from pests and diseases. Before you can, if you can find this kind of area or site, then it is best for our plantain farming, our nursery plantain farming, or the nursery steps. And the second step is land clearing. This has to do with area is cleared of weeds and debris. Raised beds are prepared to improve drainage and so. And so on. The third step is soil enrichment. Organic manure such as compost or decomposed animal waste is added. Which actually enrich the soil. This improves soil fertility and supports suckers growth. As the fourth step, step D, planting of suckers in nursery. Selected suckers are planted in rows or beds. Proper spacing is maintained to avoid overcrowding of the suckers. Now the last, the step 5, which is E, watering and maintenance. This has to do with regular watering is actually done to keep soil moist. Weeding is carried out to reduce competition with the main farm crops. Pest and disease control is also essential. Now let's move on to sucker selection for plantain farming. Suckers, what do we refer to as suckers? They are the planting materials that are used for growing plantain. Selecting the right suckers is very important for good yield and disease prevention. Now the types of plantain suckers that we have the sword suckers, the water suckers. Now the sword suckers, it's narrow pointed leaves, strong root system, best for planting because they grow faster and produce better yields. Water suckers are the broad leaves and weaker stems, less desirable for planting, produce lower yields compared to sword suckers. Now what are the criteria for selecting good suckers? These are the characteristics that need to be considered when selecting good suckers. 1, healthy and free from diseases, strong and well developed roots, and the third one is taken from high yielding mother plants. You understand? Now, treatment of suckers before planting. Suckers are treated to prevent disease and pests. Now let's look at planting methods for plantain farming. We have different methods for plantain farming. We have direct feed planting, nursery to feed transplanting, tissue culture planting, which is now the improved method. Direct feed planting. This is the most common method used by farmers. Healthy suckers are planted directly on the prepared farmland. This one is very direct. The holes are dug and enriched with manure to compose before planting. Now the nursery to feed planting, in this method, suckers are actually first raised in the nursery before being transplanted or transplanted to the farmland. Now suckers are planted in nursery for early development. After they become strong, they are moved to main field. This method actually reduces mortality and improves plant vigor. Now the tissue culture planting, which is the third planting method now, this is a modern method that is used in commercial farming. Plantlets are produced in laboratories under sterile conditions. They are disease-free and uniform in growth. They are planted in the field after acclimatization. Now let's look at planting techniques now. Planting techniques has to do with proper planting. Proper planting techniques ensure the establishment of plantain plants. The planting techniques that we have here, we have the hole preparation, positioning of suckers, covering and framing, watering. These are the different techniques that need to be followed. Planting rows are usually 30 centimeter to 45 centimeter deep, and so on. And the positioning of suckers should be planted upright or slightly slanted. The bud should face upward for proper shoot emergence. Covering and firming, soil is gently used to cover the sucker very well so that the soil is pressed lightly to remove air pockets. This will actually help the plant establish strong roots. Watering is applied immediately after planting. If rainfall is insufficient, you water it. Then this helps, and watering will actually help reduce transplant shock and support early growth. Now, spacing techniques. This is the distance between planting plants in the field. Proper spacing is very important for high yield and easy farm management. You don't want to jam pack your or make it too congested. Now, recommend spacing which it is actually recommended that we make use of 2.5 meter by 2.5 meter. This is very common spacing. Alternative is 3 meter by 3 meter for larger varieties. But why do we think spacing is very proper spacing is important? It is important because it prevents overcrowding of plants. It reduces competition for nutrients, water, and sunlight. It actually also allows proper air circulation, reduces disease spread, makes weeding, fertilizing, and harvesting easier, increases overall yield and fruit size. Now, watering and irrigation system for plantain farming. This is another topic, and this topic, watering and irrigation system for plantain farming, they are very essential components of successful plantain production, especially in areas where rainfall is not that common, where rainfall is irregular. In countries like Nigeria, for instance, plantain is mostly grown in humid region, but even in these areas, proper water management is necessary to ensure healthy growth, high yield, and quality food production. Now, what are the importance of water in plantain farming? Actually, water plays a vital role in the growth and development of plantain plants. It is needed for 1. Germination and establishment of suckers. 2. Nutrients absorption from the soil. 3. Photosynthesis and food production in leaves. 4. Growth of stems, leaves, and fruit. 5th, maintaining plant turgidity. And lastly, without adequate water, plants become weak. So these are the importance of water in plantain farming. Irrigation system for plantain farming. This is the artificial supply of water to crops when rainfall is insufficient. It's very important for commercial plantain farming. So the types of irrigation system that we have drip irrigation, the sprinkler irrigation, furrow irrigation, and we have the basin irrigation. Now, the requirements for irrigation requirements for plantain. Well, plantain requires consistent moisture throughout its growth style. Soil must remain moist but not waterlogged. Also, irrigation is especially important during dry season. Overwatering should be avoided to prevent root rot also. Now, let's move on to weed control in plantain farming. To control weed control and mulching, they are very essential management or important management practices in plantain production because they actually help improve plant growth, increase yield, and reduce competition for nutrients and water. In countries like Nigeria, where plantain farming is widely practiced, these practices are essential for maintaining healthy and productive plantations. Weed control are unwanted plants that grow in the farm. So weeds are unwanted plants that grow in the farms actually and compete with plantain plants for nutrients, sunlight, water, and space. So methods to engage in weed control. We have manual weeding, mechanical weeding, chemical weed control, cultural weed control. The manual weed is the use of we making use of hose, cutlass, and pulling to remove this weed from the environment of the plantain plant. Mechanical weeding, this involve the using of machine or tractors for large farms, and this is actually faster. Chemical weeding involves the use of herbicides to kill suppress weeds. Effective ones must be used carefully to avoid damaging plants. Cultural weed control includes practices such as proper spacing and intercropping. Now, mulching in plantain farming is the practice of covering the soil around plantain plants with materials such as dry leaves, grass, crop residues, or organic matters. This has to do with mulching. We are still trying to protect our plants here. So different types of mulching that we have organic mulching, inorganic mulching. So the benefits of weed control and mulching, and let's look at the benefits of why we need to control the weeds and mulching. So when we actually control weeds and mulching, they are properly when they are properly practiced together, farm becomes cleaner and easier to manage. Plantain plants they grow faster and stronger. Yield and fruit quality increase significantly. Production costs for fertilizer and pesticides are reduced. Also, these are the importance of um, weed control and mulching. Now let's move on to do's and don'ts in plantain farming. So now the do's in plantain farming. Successful plantain product depends on proper management practice at every stage of cultivation. So let's look at the do's in plantain farming. One is select a suitable site. As we have been saying initially, use healthy planting materials. Always select strong, disease-free soil suckers or improved varieties. Make sure you are using healthy planting materials. Prepare the land properly. Clear bushes, remove stumps and all. This is very essential. Observe proper spacing. You have said it also. You maintain recommended spacing about 2.5 meter by 2.5 meter or 3 meter to 3 meter to reduce overcrowding and allowing good air circulation. Now moving on to the don'ts in plantain farm. What are these things necessarily that we should avoid or we should not do as a plantain farmer? One, don't plant in waterlogged soil. It is very wrong. You make sure you avoid poorly drained soils because excess water can cause root rot and reduce plant growth. Secondly, don't use unhealthy or diseased suckers. It is very wrong. Using infected planting material, they spread and reduce spread diseases and reduce productivity. The third one is that you should not overcrowd plants. Planting too closely by overcrowd plants. Make sure it is properly spaced. Fourth one is don't neglect weed control. Allowing weeds to go freely reduce soil nutrients and affect plant development. Fifth one is to do not overuse chemicals in the sense that excessive use of herbicides or chemical or pesticide can damage the soil, the crops, and even the environment if it is too much. Now, in conclusion, successful plantain farming it mainly depends on proper planning, and we have been able to do that. What we should do and what we should not do, and we can go about it step by step in starting plantain farming. Now, this has to do with from selecting the right site and conducting soil testing to preparing the land, choosing the healthy soil cans, and applying correct planting techniques every stage of production. This plays an important role in determining crop performance and yield. Adequate watering, irrigation, weed control, mulching, and regular monitoring of pests and disease also help maintain healthy plant growth and improve fruit qualities. Now, farmer who follows these recommended agricultural practices are most likely to achieve higher productivity, reduce losses, and increase profitability.